We have completed the base of our basket. I have joined my yarn, and you should have a chain up and 95 single crochets all the way around for a total of 96 stitches. Now we're going to begin the sides. Now this is where the first row is going to be a little bit fiddly because we are going to be building them up this direction, so we're not doing any more increases. We're going to be just going into these 96 stitches. So we're going to chain up, but instead of going in, if you can see up here, instead of going into both of these stitches that are in the top like this, we are only going to be going into the front one for just this first row. Otherwise it's going to try to tip the sides out a little bit, so we are going to just be going into these front stitches going around. So you're going to have your clothesline, and I've gone into, let me just go into the front stitch here. I'm going to try to hold this up close so you can see it. I'm going to go through the front stitch. I'm going to lay my clothesline, grab my yarn. I'm just doing a single crochet, pull it around, and then when I grab the yarn here, that's where it's going to like circle around the actual clothesline itself, and then pull through both stitches. So I'll do a couple more this way. You're going to again go through the front part of the stitch. You're going underneath the clothesline, grabbing the yarn, pulling it around, and then grabbing over the top, and that is what encloses your clothesline within it. Go through both. I'll do a few more of these stitches so that you can get a good idea of it before you start out on your own. So again, just through that front part of the stitch, under the clothesline, grab the yarn, pull it through, and then grab through both. And as you can see, it is encasing the clothesline in between here. So we're going to pause the video here and go all the way around, because the second row we will be just slightly different because we'll be going through both of the top parts of the stitch. So go all the way around and then come back when you finish that row, and I'll get you started on the second row. I have made it all the way around. You can see this is already beginning to curve upward. So I'm going to join this last stitch to the first one. And then we're going to chain up. Now the second row, you are going to incorporate both those top stitches, not just the one that is the front one. So you're going to chain one, and this time you're going to be catching both of those stitches. So instead of just going over under the front one, you're going to go through both, lay your clothesline, grab and pull it through, and then pull it through both. Do this a couple more times. I'll see if I can get this close so you can see it. So you're going to go through both those stitches. You can see right here. Put your clothesline, grab it, pull it through, yarn over, and pull it through both. So at this point, you are going to continue doing this all the way around until your basket is as tall as you would like it to be, or in my case, when I get ready to run out of clothesline or yarn. Now, if you would like handles on your basket, then you are going to stop the height of the basket when you are about 2 to 3 rows from the top. because we're going to incorporate those handles at that time. If you're adding your handles on after the fact, or if you are just not putting handles on, then you would just continue to crochet this until you get the height that you want. But in my case, I am incorporating handles into the basket itself, so I am going to continue building the height of my basket until I am about 2 to 3, in my case probably about 2 rows from the top of my basket. Now, a little tip before you get started on your sides, I am going to show you that because I was afraid I wouldn't have enough clothesline, I actually spaced in between. This is very dense even without the clothesline. So as you can see, I actually put some rows without clothesline in between. So you can see there's some spacing in between. I did every row here, and then once I got up towards the top, I actually gave it a little bit more spacing, and it's still holding it rigid enough for the basket. So that is an option, and you're just going to, see if I can find where I did this, just kind of carry it up between the rows as you're crocheting around. And so there you can see where I did that. And that's when I will begin the handle. So you can pause the video and crochet your little heart out until you hit the top of your basket, well, 2 to 3 rows from the top of your basket, and then come back and I will show you how to do the handles. All right, I have finished the sides of this, and it's actually turned out much bigger than what I thought it would. And so, yeah, it's gonna be plenty big. And I do still have some, this is my yarn, and some of it's now on the floor. I still have a good bit of the clothesline. So I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to do the handles now. So I am now getting ready to start the handles, and they're going to be incorporated into the basket. I mean, you could add them separate, just like separate little handles, but these are actually going to be built in as just little openings in between. And I want to make sure that when I do put the second one in, that it's exactly across from the first one. So let's get the first one made. And what we are going to do, we're going to hold our yarn here, but we are not going to join through the hook, through the yarn here. So I am going to just do some single crochets just around the clothesline itself. So let's see, we'll base it on how big we want the handle section to be. So that's 2 stitches. 3. 4. 5. 6. And you want to make sure you snug these stitches down so you don't have any loose gaps. 7. 8. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to do about 10. You can make it as long or as short as you want it to be. So that's 8. Put 2 more in here. That is 9. And 10. Now, I am going to rejoin back into the main part of the basket at this point, and I'm going to skip the same number of stitches as I put up here. So I'm going to skip 10 stitches here and then rejoin. You could make it up further if you wanted your handle to sit like this, and then your next row is going to come around, which that might kind of look neat too. Maybe I will do that instead. Let's try that instead. I'm going to just go in to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'm going to go in at the 8th stitch, and that will give me like a little bump for the handle there. I think I like that better than having it lay flat like that. So we'll try that. So again, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to skip 8 stitches, so I will go into what would have been the 9th stitch right here. And then I will resume single crocheting around with the main part of the basket and the clothesline. So I'm going to go about halfway around, and then we will do the second handle. And you can kind of eyeball it, but if you lay your basket out completely flat like this, and you can fold these, they're not that rigid, but you can look at it and eyeball it, and that's what you're going to base your stitches on the other side. You can put stitch markers here if you wanted to, or you can just eyeball it as you go. I don't have any stitch markers like right with me, so I'm using a paper clip, and I'm just going to kind of loosely mark where I'm going to begin the next one to keep it right in the center. So I'm going to crochet around to this paper clip. I have reached the paper clip in this next stitch, so I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and I'm going to put 1 stitch in, and now I'm going to do the same as I did on the other handle, which is going to be 10 stitches, single crochets onto the clothesline by itself. So there is 1. Like I said, you can see it's kind of loose here. You want to make sure you snug it down nicely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I do find with crocheting something this big and bulky and using a bigger needle or bigger hook that I tend to sometimes grab it this way, sometimes I grab it this way. I do find it's a little harder on my wrist than the smaller. So you want to make sure your stitches are nice and close together. They don't have any gaps here. And then we're going to count 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to rejoin on that 9th stitch. Like that. So you could just leave it at this final row, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of strength in this handle. So we are going to go around again. I'm just going to use up the clothesline that I have and do a couple more rows. I will show you when I come back around to the handle on this side. So if you want to pause the video at this point and work your way around to this other handle, then we're just going to go single crochet into each of these, but I'll just show you what it looks like. Okay, I have reached the handle, and I'm just going to continue like what I had been doing on the previous rows, except I'm just going to be grabbing up here this time. So I am going through, just doing a single crochet and doing my clothesline at the same time. So here is the completed handle incorporated into this. Now I could go another row around, but in all honesty, I kind of like the way this looks. I think it'd be just too much if it was another row. So if you'd like to pause the video now, you can, and I'm going to go ahead and finish all the way around and then I will come back and show you how I'm going to end the project. I have now gone around both handles and I'm getting ready to end the basket. So here's what we're going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is cut the clothesline. So I'll cut it close to the edge here, maybe about an inch. And now I'm going to continue the single crochet to cover over the clothesline. So it's just going to take me about 2 stitches, maybe 3. There's 1 and 2, and then we'll do the third one here. And then the very last stitch, actually the last 2, I'm going to do 1 more that is past the clothesline. So 1 more single crochet. And then I'm going to do just the final single crochet. I'm going to leave this loop here. So I've gone 2 single crochets past the clothesline. And now I'm going to clip my yarn, and I'm going to give it about 3 or 4 inches so that it doesn't come unwoven. I'm going to give this loop a couple of twists, and then I'm going to pull, and then I'm going to pull the yarn through here, pull it snug, and weave in the ends. So I'm just going to continue taking it back and forth. So there you have it. We have the finished basket with our handles. This actually would make a nice pocketbook as well if you made it, well, maybe you like a big pocketbook or a smaller one. You can use the same technique I would if you were doing a pocketbook I would make it oval instead of round, but depends on how big you want your pocketbook to be. But that is the tutorial for today. I hope you have found it helpful. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. It does help the video a lot. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again the next time. Thanks again. Bye, everybody.